Episode 222 of the Bevan James Eyles Show, an episode with personal trainer Natacha Sanguinetti. Alrighty, team, welcome along to episode 222 of the Bevan James Eyles Show, your fortnightly podcast on the behaviours that create a lifetime love of exercise so you can get all the benefits that come alongside it. Really excited about today's show. Actually, there's a personal trainer at my gym called Natacha Sanguinetti, and she is a real star in the game. She's, I've watched her career. And she's kind of become, for young females, or females in general, at the gym, very much the kind of top personal trainer. And she just specialises in helping young females, or females, not just young females, but females in general. But I've watched her career, and what I like about her is that you can just tell she understands the importance of health and fitness and the bigger picture, and where maybe we shouldn't be putting all our focus. And let's be honest, in this kind of Instagram world we live in, for a lot of young females, that's a problem. And so to have a role model like Natacha, guiding people towards growth in really healthy ways, not just physically, but mentally as well, is a really, she's just playing an important role in her community. And so I was kind of just thinking I'd love to get her on a show just because it's not really a market that I play with. It's not really, I'm not really looking after that market. It's and much I do deal with a lot of females. My running group, that kind of younger female market is not something I did. And it was kind of cool. She came around to my house because she obviously lives in my city. And we kind of started talking about female stuff, but then we kind of just went all over the place, which could often happen when you have a conversation with me. And it's just some really cool insight from, Nat's, I think, maybe just under 30. So she's a very wise soul for her age. And so it's a really great interview. So I'm not actually going to spend much time talking before today because Nat and I end up speaking for like an hour 10. So I thought I'd just kind of do a really quick intro and get straight into the interviews. But before I do, I just want to say a big thank you to the patrons of the show. Now, if you want to become a patron of the show, go to bevanjameseyles.com, go to podcast, go to support me, and then go through the patron process. When you do, you get a cool looking Bevan James Eyles Show nickname. And these people are some of the people who have done that in the past. We've got Laura Do-A-Lot Pfeiffer. We've got Marie Sound of Glory Antoinette. We've got Dave Super Smasher Samuel. We've got Jen Mindfeeder Pillowpow. We've got Martin the Assassin Kelly. And we've got Adija, the cool name. There we go. So if you want to become a patron of the show, get your cool Bevan James Eyles Show nickname, go to bevanjameseyles.com, click on support, or go podcast, support me, and then go through the process. What happens is each time I deliver a show, you donate a little bit of your hard-earned money my way. Anyway, I'm going to get straight into my interview with Nat. Here she is right now. I've got Natacha now. I've just asked her first name, and I'm going to get her to say it. I'm sorry. So what's the last name? How do you say it?
Sanguinetti.
Yeah, there you go. It's a cool last name. Did you struggle learning to spell it when you were a kid?
No, I didn't struggle, but everybody else does.
Oh, okay.
Like I kind of give my driver's license to people.
Really?
Yeah, when you sign up to stuff, I'm like, here you go, just take it.
Yeah, because I would struggle. I struggle with my name, but I'm not a good speller. Anyway, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
You.
Hey, so you're a very kind of popular and successful personal trainer at my local gym.
Wow, thank you.
You are. And one thing that you seem to be really good at is helping young females. And I thought it'd just be really cool to get you on your show just to show some insight and some an overview of some of the things that they face and some of the problems you see and some insight you've got on people growing. So I suppose maybe a good place to start is, what are the biggest concerns or hurdles you see for health and fitness for young female adults?
There's so many.
There's
so many. But the couple that probably come to mind are the quick fixes that are targeted to women, to young women. So, like the fat burners, the 8-week challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge market out there where companies just give you like the 8-week, the 6-week, and then just, the before and after photos, that kind of stuff that really feed into if I want to look good, I can do it fast, or I can take fat burners, and that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the reality is, the probability of these people these girls putting the weight back on afterwards is really high. It's something like 90%.
Yeah,
When you do it that quickly, it's so high. So, you know, they buy into that, especially because it's really, it speaks to their pain, really.
Yeah.
So that's probably
So what's the
top
pain
one.
of that generation? And I don't know, we were stereotyping here, but
Yeah. Oh, I would say the pain, or, you know, social media, right?
Yeah.
So you've got social
I'm
media,
old. I
Instagram.
do know.
You're massive on Instagram, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
You're an influencer. So like, say Instagram, you have these people with followers and the ability to edit all their photos.
Yeah.
So what we used to see on the media, like the magazines or on TV when we were younger, or when you were younger, is what these girls see every single day on social media.
Yep.
And anybody can edit their photos. And I'm not saying like people make themselves look smaller, but you can quite easily have the right lighting and put a preset on that makes you look, I don't know, a different kind of
No one puts an
tan.
ugly photo on, do they?
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
don't. And they'll always put the best photo. Yeah, so it just gives them the perfection all the time. This is how I should be looking. So I think that's probably the biggest issue, the biggest pain.
So, and the biggest pain is, so it tends to be, and look, like I'm not
Body
talking,
image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is image is the thing
Yeah,
that everyone
yeah,
wants.
and it's probably been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's worse now because we see it all the time on our phones. You know, the minute you wake up
Yeah.
and the minute you go to sleep.
Yeah, people are
before you
feeding
go
it all
to sleep.
day, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
scrolling.
how do you manage that? Like,
In terms of-
if a young female comes to you and is looking to really focus on image,
Yeah, which is predominantly why
what you get.
they'll come see me because they want to get toned.
Okay.
That's probably the most common goal.
Wow.
Yeah. Mostly it would be I want to get toned, and they don't really know what that means. They just mean I just want to look like this girl on Instagram.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. The way I deal with it is I just take the long approach.
Yep.
You know, like I'll listen to them, and I mean I only see them once a week. But I'll every single week speak to them, you know, and speak to them about where that comes from, their pains, and then slowly try and shift away from the body image goal, you know, and then kind of show them what they can do in the gym and how cool it is to be able to lift this amount or to be able to do push-ups on your toes.
Yeah.
And then you can see, and then that kind of means that they fall in love with fitness, really. They're doing it for another reason other than body image.
Yeah.
And so that's how I manage it. But it's a long, long road. Yeah.
What about the kind of the bigger problems, like the disorders? Do you see much of that?
Yes.
Oh, really?
A lot.
A lot, really?
Yeah. And I do refer out.
Yeah.
Depending on where it's at.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the time.
Really?
All the time. Yeah.
Wow.
It's honestly, it's a massive issue. Yeah.
Well, like, how do we fix that? You know, like, it's such an interesting discussion, isn't it? Because that's mental health stuff that gets to there, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why it's out of my field, really. All
Yeah.
I do is kind of support them and try and definitely normalize talking about it. But I have made a rule that I just don't comment on people's body,
Yeah.
you know, so especially girls, because even say if you say, oh, wow, your legs are looking great, you don't really know what's going on in the background, and maybe she's been starving herself for the last 2 weeks, and you've just kind of reinforced the fact that that's a good thing that she's been doing that because her legs are looking good from it, you know. So I mean, there's not a way to fix it, but there's just, I think, changing the way we speak to young females, the way we compliment them, maybe not commenting on their bodies, commenting on what they can do and how strong they maybe look, or you know,
behaviors.
Behaviors. But there's no way to fix it. I think it's just supporting and normalizing talking about it.
Do you feel pressure yourself?
Pressure myself?
Yeah, an image. You know, like you're an instructor, role model. You know, like
definitely.
Yeah. And how do you manage it within yourself?
I think I used to feel a lot more pressure in my early days of being in the fitness industry as opposed to now. But it just kind of, it depends on how you're feeling and on the day. I would say I focus a lot more on performance. Yeah. And especially being, you know, like the national team for Les Mills, I always try and be at the top of my game for performance
Yep.
because, you know, you're kind of expected to be really good at fitness
you get those
and strength.
opportunities.
Yeah, so I focus on performance, but I'm definitely focused on, I do want to look good, definitely, and I do feel the pressure, but I just stay on top of myself, you know, like if I find that maybe I've got some bad self-talk one day, I'm quite aware of it. Yeah, so I don't really let myself go in a deep rabbit hole about it, just snap out of it, but that takes time.
And what helps you through that moment?
Maybe talking about it with my partner, Essie. Maybe talking about it, or even with Jess, my friend. But it doesn't normally last very long. Yeah.
It's what about how, you know, because also for your business you need to have social media presence.
Yes. Yeah.
So then, you know, in a world where we're so, you know, we can kind of do damage just by trying to sell image. How do you want to represent yourself, or how do you try to represent yourself within that?
On social media.
Yeah, because it's a sales mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, for
sure.
sure.
You know, like it's.
I go for strong.
Okay.
Yeah. So I tend to post. Well, I guess because my page is very fitness orientated.
What's
but
your business?
It's my business.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll post workouts where I'm pushing to my limits. So I'm, you know, lifting heavy weights for me. Yeah. So I try and portray strength. Yeah. And just kind of like freedom of just moving your body, you know, like just doing what you want to do. Like, you know, my workouts aren't really like, oh, you must do 25 reps of this exercise, otherwise you will never get those results, you know. I kind of just work, and Essie's the same, very organic with how I'm feeling on the day. Like when I post my workouts, it's just, I've felt like, you know, working my hamstrings and glutes today, or I felt like, you know, or doing explosive stuff. I wanted to do some tuck jumps and plyo push-ups, you know. Yeah.
What got you into fitness originally?
When I was in high school, so what got me into group fitness was when I was in high school, we had like a licensee club.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we did. So I did the classes. I did combat and pump.
Where were you based?
In Gisborne.
Oh,
yeah, the more you know. Yeah, so I got into that, but I wasn't, because I moved from France. France isn't really huge in sports, especially at school.
Which is really interesting, because I find it fascinating because it's such an amazing sporting nation.
It is. Yeah. But look, in New Zealand, though.
Yeah, well, New Zealand, we rock as well.
I do think
we're very
better.
active. But they win the Soccer World Cup. They, like they win.
Soccer's massive. Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, every guy there
plays football.
Okay. Yeah. Soccer's massive. But for girls, like all I did was I did ballet and I did martial arts purely because my brother did it.
Okay.
But none of my friends did.
But it's not like
arts.
a real active nation as such.
No, it's not.
Okay.
And
whereas
it's
here
not
it is.
a huge focus at school either.
Yep.
Yeah, so when I moved to New Zealand, you know, everyone's playing sports.
Yeah.
Everyone's playing netball, volleyball, or soccer. So I got into it, but I was never amazing at it. So that's why I kind of found group fitness and thought that's my thing, you know, because I don't have to be amazing at it. I can just exercise that way.
Yeah.
So that's probably how I got into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
no real inspirational story behind it.
No, but then you obviously became an instructor.
I did in Wellington.
Oh, did you teach there first?
Yeah, I did. For like a year, not for long, for like a year. Yeah, I had like, you know how Wellington has the Round the Bays run?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they still do that, but you got like 15 free sessions at East Mills to get fit for the run. And I had no intentions of doing the run. Like I ran, but not like 15Ks or whatever. Yeah. I just wanted it for the classes. Yeah. And I did, a few classes and then, got asked if I would like to audition.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh. So what were you here? This is totally, but what were you in Christchurch? I'm getting personal here.
So I moved down to Christchurch for work because I worked in construction. So I was a project manager for a few
earthquakes
years.
And all the rest
Yeah. So earthquakes and all that. Yeah.
So let's go back to fitness. That's how we roll. What's the key to creating change, particularly for your market? Because to me, it's that I always think my measure is, do I create change?
Yeah.
And it's that in anything I do is because I try to put myself out there in the world as someone who's trying to help others. And so the real result is, do people get the result? For me, or do they get the change? What do you think when you see those people who actually come make a change? What are the factors that they have?
Consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, consistency. So do you mean people that succeed?
Yeah,
in
maybe
that
someone who's
environment?
like if you get a new client who's struggling with
Yeah.
exercise or not exercising at all.
Yeah.
What gets them to that point where you know they're going to be exercising for a long term?
When they don't need me to come into the gym.
And what creates that?
Consistency.
And what creates consistency?
Time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it takes time, and it depends on the person. But yeah, when I see a client coming in on their own accord and doing the workouts and taking space in like the weights area on their own without me, because I only train females.
Yeah.
That's when I know.
Do you only train females?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
I do. I'm not sexist.
No.
But no, I just wanted to be good at one thing.
Okay.
And focus on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, anyway, that's my target market.
And so, well, no, you market. So consistency and just getting them into that habit of making sure they turn up all the time.
Yes, yeah, consistency and time.
Yeah.
And once they've got that confidence, that's when you know that they're going to be in it for the long run. And when you can see that they're, when you have to tell them to slow down or stop because say they've been sick or they're overtrained, that's when you know, okay, you're fine, just take a rest day, Yeah. When it's kind of like a pendulum, they go the other way. But yeah, that's when I know this person's going to be fine without me.
What are problems that are unique to females that I wouldn't know? Well, like obviously like the period and stuff like that, but like what are some things that I wouldn't even consider because I do work with females in my running business, but not in a one-on-one way.
I mean, you probably know this, but like the pressure of looking a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's funny because it's interesting. Like I look at my mum's generation, and my mum's 60-ish, and she speaks an image. She'll often make a judgment on someone based on their image. And it's nothing against my mum. It's just their generation. Yeah.
Like commenting, like I said.
Yeah, she's looking really good.
Someone's body.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they look great.
Yeah.
Or she's looking skinny.
Yeah.
And skinny is like a big no word.
Yeah.
Don't say that word to,
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, you shouldn't. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, just because,
I
said, you're looking skinny, you could be encouraging an eating disorder for,
Yeah.
And normally when that's going on, it's very much behind the scenes. You wouldn't know about it, unless it's quite obvious.
Yeah.
Like that change. Yeah.
How do you address that? Because, for example, at the gym, there is a girl who I'm pretty sure is anorexic. And as a group fitness instructor, I don't really have that relationship. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what my role is. But as a PT, it's a bit more of a personalised relationship.
Yeah, so how do I address it as a PT?
Yeah.
Asking questions, and trying to get kind of the red flags. Just asking questions about, what's for dinner tonight? And generally you pick it up quite quickly when someone's got an eating disorder.
And some very obvious, obviously.
And sometimes it's very top level behaviors, like they don't necessarily have an eating disorders, but they just have some kind of habits that aren't very healthy, like say binging, but like they just might binge now and then. I'll just ask questions and then just try and create an environment where they can speak about it. Because it's so confidential, I would never tell anybody else.
Of course.
So they.
But do you ever say, I'm concerned? Like, do you front foot it?
I wouldn't say it in those words, but I would kind of frame it in the sense that, like, do you think that's worrying?
Okay.
Are you worried with how this habit is happening all the time now, and that's how you kind of get it out of them. Yeah. Like, have you ever talked about it with a professional, with anybody? And then I might just refer them to somebody. Yeah. Which I've done quite a few times.
Really?
Yeah.
Blows my mind away.
It does, yeah. And sometimes you've got no idea and like it's not super obvious.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
They do, yeah. And it's when you create that environment where they can speak about it that I think is really powerful, because then that's your go-to unbiased person. Because when you speak about it to your sister or your mum, they're going to be quite protective over you, and they're going to be like, just stop doing that, please, just stop doing that, and it's like, well, it's not that easy. But then I try and create an environment where they can speak about it, but also make it quite lighthearted. Like I wouldn't I don't want to make it too serious and you've got to stop doing that, or you're gonna spiral downhill. You just make it quite lighthearted so they can speak about it. And
So you're
it's
trying to
just
create a
normal
trusting
thing.
environment for them where they
and
get
it's
free
just
to
a normal
express.
thing to talk about.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the people who you do pass on, do they have much success?
Yes.
Because it's a journey.
They do. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. I don't really have percentages, but I would say all of my clients who have or have had, like past clients, eating disorders seem to be doing well.
Yeah.
I think half the time it's just you need to speak to somebody about it.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think it's really important as well, because I interviewed a guy a while ago, and he made a good point. Is that nowadays we live in this kind of there's a lot more discussion around opening up.
Yeah.
Opening up to your world, and we get all those open up to a friend kind of advertising kind of stuff, and it's a really good thing, because what they're saying is don't hold stuff in, and look for support and stuff. But this guy was kind of saying, well, that's true, but most people actually don't have skills. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean like when somebody does open up?
Yeah, because but what I love what you're doing is you're saying, I understand my role, and my role is to, when I see there's a problem, point them in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people, we're all problem solvers. We're all good at, when someone says there's a problem, we're all good at thinking of solutions. And that can be a problem because actually they need proper support. And
professional.
Yeah, and professional by trained people who know what they're doing.
And I don't know what I don't know either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I don't know. Haven't studied nutrition or psychology. Yeah, no, there's no way. And I don't want that kind of responsibility. Like, I want it to be, I know they're in good hands. She's getting looked after, and I can just look after her fitness, and she's got a friend to speak to about it. How this week is going. Yeah, but I don't want that kind of responsibility, because I'm not qualified at all. Yeah.
Well, but I just think it's an important message for everybody, because if people do come to us and open up, the probably the best thing, as you say, is just be an ear.
Be an ear.
Be an ear and point.
Yeah.
Point towards people who can actually really help.
Yeah.
Because it is, a lot of problems are, they need proper help, don't they? Especially stuff like eating disorders.
That's right. Yeah. And then after a while of doing that, you've got people you can, you've got names that they've done a really good job with your client. Like you'll have like a bit of a book of professionals that you can refer to. Yeah.
So what about just, look, we'll move on from that, but what do you think the key is to helping people kind of find that healthy lifestyle?
Don't try and do it quickly.
Yeah. That's the problem about it, isn't it? I was reading a really interesting marketing book recently.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, it was a really interesting concept. They talk about value. And value is getting people to pay more for something. So if you want to get people to pay more for something, first of all, you have to show them the dream result. So what's their ultimate?
Yeah.
Then you have to show your credibility of getting them to get the dream result.
Yeah.
Then what you need to do is you need to show that you can get it quickly. So
there you go.
Yeah. And then what you need to do is you need to show that you get it easily.
Yeah.
So if you can show someone, and they did this really good analogy. Yeah. And what was that?
It's sexy.
Yeah. And what they did this really good example, because they said fitness is a really hard area to make millions in. And this guy was trying to sell $1 million products.
Yeah.
And he said fitness is really hard to sell $1 million products in, because you can get the dream result, and you might have lots of credibility in helping lots of people, but it takes a long time and it's not easy.
That's right.
And he said, so, for someone to sell a fitness product worth $7,000, it's really hard to do. Liposuction, you get the dream result by a professional who's credible, happens straight away, and it's easy.
Yeah.
So trying to compete against that.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's almost like a cat, like the problem is, that's how you've almost got to sell fitness, because the market rewards.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's actually what you can't, like, as you say, it's not good for people to actually take that stuff on.
That's right. And it's not on trend to say, hey, come train with me, and in about 2 years' time, you're going to be so confident.
And you'll be able to sustain it forever.
Body.
And Yeah.
And for you're going to have such great bone health and your heart. Like, no one cares about their bone health and heart, especially when they're young. They're like, I don't care. I just want a six-pack tomorrow. So that's not sexy to say in 2 years, you're going to feel so good about yourself. You're
laying a foundation for a good life.
Yeah. That's not sexy at all. They just want 8 weeks or tomorrow.
So then how do we help them shift that perspective? You know, like,
Yeah, I mean, you've got and I don't want to name brands obviously, but you've got so many big brands and businesses out there that do exactly what that guys said, you know,
yeah.
just
E45.
you're gonna,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, where they have that kind of culture
6-week challenge.
6-week challenge and before after photos, and then after the challenge you put it back on, if not more, and then the only way for you to really look the way you did when you finished that challenge is for you to do it again.
Yeah.
And to be really restrictive.
Yeah.
And overtrain.
Yeah.
Those two. But yeah, when you say those, I mean, people know they're not stupid.
Yeah, but they know, but they are stupid because they respond to it. You know what I mean? Like, we do know. Yeah. It's just really interesting because they know, but they still respond to it.
Yeah. That baffles me. But because if it's a big enough pain to them, you know, like say they've always been bigger, or they used to be bullied about their legs or their arms or something, that's gonna hopefully take away that pain in 8 weeks, which it won't. Yeah, no. It won't.
Or it might for a moment.
Yeah, but then as soon as you know, like...
Yeah, totally. They fall back.
Like a blowout that weekend, it's like, oh my goodness, and then it all goes downhill.
And the fascinating thing is, what's the damage? Because, you know, if you do like a new 45 to 12-week challenge or whatever the product is, you know, if you stick to 100%, you are going to get results.
Yeah, you will.
But they're not sustainable.
No.
So then the damage is, I see myself as a failure after the fact.
Yeah, so they're setting them for failure.
Yeah,
totally. Predominantly they're doing that.
And scarring them, because then the self-identity is...
Yeah, that, but also every time that you lose weight,
you're losing muscle mass. Yeah,
and you lose muscle mass, every time you do that and you put it back on, it's harder to lose it again. And I think that's what people don't realize. That's why when, you know, people have got a history of eating disorders, it's really hard every single time to lose that weight again. Yeah, and that's just science. Yeah, and that's so sad because you're not only setting them up for failure, but also for like a lifelong failure because like identity, but also their bodies. Yeah, it's really unhealthy.
Yeah, so how do we change that?
Honestly, if you have the answer, let me know. Because the way I approach it, I just try and be as real and open about it. You know, when I speak about it on social media or to my clients or boot camps or whatever, or even our podcast, I try and just make that the sustainable thing, make that the sexy trend. Yeah. You know? And I can't do it on my own. And a lot of fitness professionals out there are doing it too, but there's the big brands that are louder than us. Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, as well is, because I've always thought, and I'll never get around to doing it, but I always thought of making a weight loss product. Yeah. But it'd be a year journey, you know, because my approach would be, you know, let's say you eat 5 times a day, or whatever, but it would literally spend a month on each meal.
Yeah.
And around that meal, you'd figure out the formula of foods and all the rest of it. There might be some calorie reduction in there. But actually, you're also just learning the habits of a perfect meal.
The habits is
right, yeah. And then also the psychology of each meal.
Yeah.
And then you just live. And then after a month, you nailed your breakfast. Yeah. And you know how. And then, okay, let's work on that.
That's quite a cool idea.
Yeah. And you might start off, you know, like you might just go at first approaches. You're going to reduce calories by a little bit. And then you might start looking at micros and macros and all that kind of. But you couldn't sell it.
No, because it's a year.
Yeah.
But you're telling me in 2022, I'll look the way that I want to look. There's no way. Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting thing because, people know I've written this book, but one thing I talk about in my book is, and maybe it's something for people listening to this, if you identify what we're talking about, is change your measures. And what I mean by that, so in my book, the first chapter is you got to learn to prioritize exercise. You know, nothing's going to change until you prioritize exercise. Yeah. You know, and that's the difference between you and I and someone who's not exercising is we wake up and we go, when am I going to exercise today? Yeah. You know, and so, and anyone who has a habit, they've got that prioritization. Yeah. And so in my book, what I'm trying to do in the book is layer experiences that teach them important lessons. So the first layer is you've just got to put it in your day. You know,
slot it in.
Yeah. And so I have a challenge. For 4 weeks, you do 3 exercise sessions over that week. But I have some rules. And one of the rules is like, the exercise has to seem stupidly easy. Because I don't actually care about the exercise.
Yeah, it's just the fact that they've put it in.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like, I put, if you want to do a 5-minute walk, That's,
do that.
But the other thing I say in it is you're not allowed to judge the exercise. Because
So as in I didn't,
it's
that
like,
was too easy.
or that was too easy, or I'm not going to get fitter, or I'm
Okay.
not going to lose
I
weight.
like that.
Because we're not focusing on the exercise at the moment. We're focusing on behavior of prioritization.
Yeah.
And so the only thing we should measure is, did you get out the door? And what I've tried to do within it is I've tried to, the expectation is so easy they can't fail. So it's like I literally say, if you think it's going to be a little bit hard, go easier than that. And so literally a 5-minute walk, that's a win. Because it's just that learning to prioritize. But that key thing of what are you measuring? And the problem for a lot of people is they measure weight.
That's right.
You know?
And that's right. And if we can shift the focus to measuring
behavior change,
the weights that you're lifting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Or your habits to plan food.
That's right.
Like, and so you're actually, because I'm always thinking, what's the behaviors that create the change you want?
Yeah.
And so then let's be honest, most people lose weight if they plan their food well.
Yeah.
Like that's, and recording, as much as everyone hates doing a food diary.
Yeah, that's true.
It works.
Yeah.
So if you want to lose weight, one thing you could measure is, did I plan my food every day this week? But, instead of going, am I losing weight? Because if we can go and guarantee that we get the measurement happening, there's a higher chance you'll get the outcome you ultimately desire.
Yeah.
And so how do we shift the measurement?
Yeah. But the other thing with, like you say, it's effective to track weight, or to track, food, what you're eating in a day. But then what I see in some of my clients is
all they do is
so they'll go obsessively into it, and then they might burn out or whatever and have a big binge. And I think it's just different for everybody. Some people can track and some people can, count calories, but some people definitely should stay away from it.
Yeah.
And just going with how they feel and just seeing those red flags when they pop up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm feeling anxious. All I want to do is eat a whole packet of chips. Okay, just hold on a minute, wait, think about it. Maybe have some water and just kind of acknowledge that this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for people like that, can't calorie count or be too, plan out their food too much.
And I also think on top of that is understand the real problem.
Yeah.
So like, the chip one, okay, well, the real problem is you haven't developed healthy tools of dealing with high stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like the person who gives up smoking. What's really interesting about the person who gives up smoking is they go back to it when they're stressed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's
right.
high stress or drinking for some reason. But, so they've experienced a high stress moment, and what do? They go back to smoking. And the reason is because the way they've de-stressed in the past is to have a smoke. And so they take away the behaviour of smoking, but then they don't replace it with a better way of dealing with stress.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, if for the person who's eating the bag of chips because they're emotionally stressed, well, the real problem you're trying to solve is how to actually inject better ways to deal with stress.
Yeah.
More healthier ways.
And so that's just going much deeper than just the packet of chips.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's not just about going, don't eat the chips. It's like, okay, maybe going for a walk, maybe ringing a friend, maybe it's doing a workout, maybe it's doing something creative.
Dealing with the stress in a different way.
Yeah, in a healthy way that doesn't come at a cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's what the professionals would help them with.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because I'm sure we can tell them that, but then in that moment in time, it's like, I don't really give a shit about your I just want that packet of chips because I want that quick, I just want to feel good right now.
Yeah, but what's the cost of that, eh? Like, what the cost of a bad decision? Like I was speaking to one of my runners the other morning, and they come along to a morning session. It was pretty crappy weather day. And they said, I came because I knew I'd feel guilty all day if I didn't. And that cost of not coming would have cost you a whole day.
Yeah.
And it's that.
Good point, yeah.
It's when we make poor decisions, even though it might give us a relief moment, often it's way more expensive after.
Well, it's just like exercise because you will feel so much better afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's what you and I sell, I guess, in fitness.
How do you manage your looking after yourself? Because in our game, it's very giving.
So much.
And heaps of energy out.
Yeah.
How do you look after yourself?
Downtime.
Yeah?
Yeah, downtime. And I like to just work out for myself.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, in group fitness classes, the workout is for the members.
Yep.
Even though you do the workout yourself. I like to just go to the gym. So I've got another membership at another gym. So I like to leave the gym and just do my own workout or go for a run back in the day when I could run, but I'm getting back into it. Or just go for a walk, but just downtime. Yeah.
And outside of exercise, what are the other ways you have downtime?
Netflix.
Okay, so just chilling.
Read a book. Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah.
Or downtime with friends and family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
How do you manage the expectation? Because I remember years ago, I was going out for a girl called Eyles, and at the gym, a girl came up to me, and she wasn't being needy, but she was just asking stuff of me.
Needy alert, red
no,
flag.
no, it actually wasn't. She was just asking stuff of me, and I kind of offered a solution, but didn't offer much more.
Yeah.
And the reason was that people in our position, lots of people want us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And lots of people.
Yeah.
And afterwards, my girlfriend was a little bit harsh on me. She was like, "Why didn't you offer to provide more for her?" And I was kind of like, "Well, if I did that all the time, I'd just be consumed by it."
Totally.
And so I kind of have to look after my own boundaries. And it's not that I don't do I do plenty of that anyway. But so how do you manage the want of the need of your time? And you know what I mean? Like, how do you manage that yourself?
I think I'm quite strict. Like you say, when you've got members or just people, instructors, people in general in the gym coming up to you for help or solutions, I think I try and be strict with the amount of time that I give, just because my job is all about time, really. So I'll kind of assess how important this is. Like if I've got a client who is having a really bad day and I can tell they need more of my time, more than what they've paid for, then I'll try and work around my schedule and see if I can give it to them. Yeah. So it might be just that I need to follow up with them that afternoon or something like that. But I try and be selfish with my time, especially depending on what it is, sometimes it will just be, in my mind, will just be, okay, like you say, I'll just give them a quick solution, but I don't really need to spend more time on this. Yeah. Because otherwise you're just empty.
Yeah, totally.
Empty all the time.
Because we're in a given game.
Selfish.
Yeah.
You do.
Well, is it selfish or is it boundaries?
Boundaries. Yeah, you have to set boundaries. Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty strict with the hours that I trained people, because I could work
a lot more
all day, every day. Yeah. But I'm so strict with, I don't go past a time each day. Yep. Don't work weekends. In terms of like one-on-one PT time. Yep. Yeah.
And why is it valuable?
Why is that valuable?
Having those boundaries. Because so many people, in our game, so many people are good at saying yes because they're desperate. Yeah. And I know you're a very successful personal trainer, so you're always going to have clients there. But, it seems like you've always been pretty on top of your boundaries. Yeah.
I guess I've never burnt out PTing, but I've burnt out in other areas. Like when I was project managing, I was PTing before and after work for maybe a year or 6 months to a year. Yep. So that was too much. But I'm pretty good at seeing when you're tired all the time and those kind of signs, like feeling anxious or not feeling hungry, or, things are just, so I just set boundaries.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer in that. Because the thing is, if you don't have your own boundaries, you can't be a good version of yourself.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If I was tired and grumpy every day, I would just say, go away. Yeah. But I don't want to be that person. Yeah. You want to have time for people. Yeah. Yeah.
So that self-management's good for you and for your world.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the key to being a good group fitness instructor?
A good group fitness instructor? Yeah. Sounds cliche, but be yourself. Yeah. Yeah, because you can very easily copy others, but it looks so fake and sounds so fake. Yeah. And at the beginning of any group fitness instructor journey, they're not going to be themselves, because they're going to be thinking in their own head, thinking about the next rep. And what am I going to say next? Yeah, doing the skills. Yeah. But I think when someone is truly themselves on stage, whether they're quirky, funny, or when they show that, that's when they're really good. Yep.
What should somebody look for in a group fitness instructor?
Maybe someone who's not too self-involved. Yeah. Because when people think about instructing, or when they want to be an instructor, they kind of think, yeah, it'd be cool being on stage. Like, I'd be the cool dude. Yeah. And I might get more followers or be more popular. So, that's a little, I think someone that's that cares about the people in front of them.
What should someone look for in a good PT? You know, because it's like
someone that
you go.
a PT that doesn't. If a PT is telling you to do any extremes, like go on a keto diet or you must work out 7 days a week, any kind of extremes, I think is a red flag.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I'm sure everyone's asking you about keto diet at the moment. Well, it's probably last
everything.
week now. But
yeah.
So then,
I have clients on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how'd you deal with that?
They tell me, I support them, and I tell them my views on it.
Yep.
But I always support them. I say, you know what, if you feel like you need to try this out, because the thing is, I can't say don't do it. It's not good for you or whatever.
Yeah.
They probably will do it anyway, or they'll maybe just go and do it on their own. You know. So I'd rather just support them through it, and then just make sure they're healthy through it. But I'll just give them, you know, the red flags.
Yep.
You know, like how's your energy levels today?
So that's one thing that's a red flag is if they're pushing you to extremes.
Yes.
What are some things, the good things that you should look for in a PT?
Great question. I mean,
Like, why do you think you're a good PT?
I've got a lot of empathy.
Okay.
Yeah. I care about people a lot. So I think that's my main thing. I've got so much empathy. So I can relate to people well, and I can speak to them without any judgment.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's why people stick with me or go with me.
Well, no, I
don't know. You can tell me.
Well, no, I think, as you said, you're very natural. You're very you.
Yeah.
You know, like you're very. The thing about you is you're very comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
And I think that's, in some ways, it's kind of a role model thing. That I think a lot of people want that in their life, and so they see you and they see, you know, they see that you're somebody who's confident and content. And as much as it's a fitness journey, a lot of people wanting that as a part of a fitness journey.
Yeah, maybe even without knowing it.
Yeah, totally.
It just looks appealing because you're happy.
Yeah,
and you're happy.
Because I was speaking to a couple of girls
yourself.
before CX a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they'd seen you do, for people who are listening overseas, in lockdown, and we did some online classes on Facebook. And they said, that Tash girl, she was just so really cool. I just want to come to her class.
Aww.
Yeah. And it was just that kind of your natural kind of state.
Yeah.
You know,
That's nice.
You're very friendly, but you're also just very comfortable in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Do
think
you know what? No one's ever said that to me. I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
I think to me that's your greatest strength.
That I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, you just know yourself.
Wow, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, like because I do one of your classes every week.
Yeah, I love having you there.
Well, you're a great instructor, but the thing that's you're just so naturally yourself.
Yeah.
And you said before, what does it take to be a good group? You said be yourself, but you're just you're just someone who's you know when you meet in life, you know you meet the competent person.
Yeah.
You know, I always think if you're gonna get someone on your team, get the competent person, and there's just a knowingness about that person.
Yeah.
You know, and knowingness not in a cocky, arrogant way. It's just a self-assuredness of I'm happy in me.
Yeah.
And hopefully you are within yourself, but
you
know, but you are because it's represented in
but
how
you can tell when somebody isn't.
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah, and most people are struggling with themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know and I love what you do because you know that's what I wanted to get you on here today was that what you promote is the real value of exercise.
Yeah.
You know, and sure, like we all like looking good, and I like that. I like having an athletic look.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, I'd probably still want to maintain it, so I'd work at it. But I have an athletic look because I like movement.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, you know, I think people like us, we're trying to sell something more than image. You know, we're trying to sell growth. We're trying to, you know, all that other stuff. And I just think,
exactly.
you know, you nail that.
Well, we don't have any 6-week challenges, do we?
No.
Or like extreme challenges.
Yeah, no.
No. Yeah, well, that's very good to know. And I think, you know, when I first started instructing, I definitely wasn't as comfortable as I am now. But I was so young.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't remember how old I was. I might have been 19 or maybe 20.
Back in Wellington.
Back in Wellington. Yeah, so I was so young. So I definitely wasn't as comfortable in my skin. But
okay, here's a question. Why are you comfortable in your skin?
I don't know. I feel confident that I'm gonna be okay. I don't know. That's such a... I've never been asked this before.
But it's actually a really interesting answer because what you said is trust.
Yeah. So, I've got trust. Yeah, I've got trust in myself that, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
We're going to lockdown tomorrow. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Or I think I've always been quite a stable person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's made you a stable person?
I don't...
You're getting deep, mate.
I don't know. Like, I feel like, and my friends always say this, I'm always very, very stable. Like, I don't really have like some huge highs and huge lows, like I'm not that emotional that I have, like when they come and see me, they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
And same with like, say when I like say drink alcohol, I kind of know when to not go crazy,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think...
Did you have great parents?
Well, my parents separated when I was really young. 2 months, I've only really had my mum.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess because we had because we moved when I was young and we weren't super.
And so your
rich.
father was never really around?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
And we weren't very wealthy. I think I kind of quite quickly thought, okay, I want to have life in control and have enough money and so I think that's why I kind of, like, if you compare me and Essie, my partner, he's much more
got to have a free spirit.
Free spirit, spend money, emotional, that's just his personality, whereas I'm much more, I want to have security and make sure I've got enough money in my bank account in case there's the
rainy
apocalypse.
day.
Rainy day,
COVID,
Yeah, and I think that's probably why we work really well together. But I'm very stable, and I guess because my childhood wasn't like, it's not like we were really rich.
Yeah.
We moved a lot, like we.
But did you feel unconditional love?
Oh, from my mum, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Always had so much love and care from my mum. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just interesting, isn't it? Because I think, we are going deep, but I think a lot of people are deeply looking for that.
Yeah.
And your self-assuredness. Because I think when I look at you, and I'm making assessments here, but there's an you're loved. Yeah. Which is a really important thing.
Yeah.
You know yourself.
Yeah.
So you know what's important to you. So you don't tend to fall away from that. And then you've got good tools to manage self.
Yeah. And it could be, like, going back to my mum, it could be that she's always been very open, like, if you don't feel good, just be open about it.
So she's taught you some really good tools around
managing
yourself.
I think so, which I'm so grateful for, because obviously I've got so many friends or people that I know that haven't had that kind of support. But just always very safe environment to have a shitty day and not feel good, which is great tools to teach kids. Rather than just don't speak about it. I don't want to know. If you're having a good day. It is interesting, because it is that, again, going back to the thing, I think that's probably the most attractive. Well, there's lots of attractive things about you, but the most attractive thing for a lot of people is that she's so comfortable in herself. And I really never thought of it like that at all. So that's been a revelation for me. Well, thank you, Bevan.
Well, but in understanding the why, because ultimately I think a lot of people want that. Because to me it's trust. That is that thing of
trust in yourself.
It was funny. I was doing a talk for our runners. I've started doing a goal setting session, and I did a really in-depth goal setting session with them on Sunday, and I was talking about any area of your life you're confident, you have trust. So true. And I talked about, because like this year I had my back operation, and I wasn't worried about putting on weight. Now I normally exercise 8 to 12, 15 hours a week. I couldn't exercise at all. I wasn't worried about putting on weight. And why is that?
That's amazing.
Because I trust I can manage weight. I trust I can manage diet. Like, I just ate a little bit less. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a rock. It was, I just know in this area of my life, I'll never be the overweight guy, even if I can't exercise, because I know I can manage diet as well. And so it's that, and to me, and I was saying in the session, I was saying, to me, in any area you have confidence or self-assuredness, you have trust. And trust is, I look at tomorrow and I know I can still sustain today. Whereas I think a lot of people have that, what if I lose this, or doubt, or can't sustain this, you know?
Or like with lockdown, losing the gym. How am I going to work out? You'll be fine at home.
Totally.
You can do it at home.
Totally.
I do remember speaking to you when you were maybe about to have your surgery, and you were so chill.
Yeah.
about it. And
Do you know what's funny?
like,
I
"That's
was telling someone
amazing."
about this recently because people would go up to Joe and they'd say, "How's Bevan getting along?" And she'd go, "No, he's fine." And I really was. And they
Yeah.
go, "No, but really?" You know, because they thought I'd be struggling.
Yeah.
You know, and
He
it's
can't be because
Yeah.
he's not jumping around.
yeah,
doing
because
a
he's
tap.
you're so dependent on exercise and yeah, it is. To me, it's just all about learning to be a great self-manager
Yeah.
and then building trust in those areas.
Yeah,
you know?
that's amazing because I had not a injury like yours, but I
Yeah,
tore my
you've been
hip
quite
at the
limited,
start of
haven't
the
you?
year.
Yeah,
So I couldn't exercise at all,
yeah,
and I definitely wasn't as okay with it as you were.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but I learned so much from it
So what did you learn?
that it's okay. Like I didn't put on weight,
Yeah.
and that there's so many. I mean, I always knew that there's so many other ways I can move my body without using my hip, although that's pretty challenging,
Yeah,
I gotta tell you.
it's pretty fundamental.
But I got really creative.
It's a
with
lot
it.
of bicep curls.
So many. Have you seen my
Yeah,
guns?
she's got
Yeah,
steroids.
massive. Yeah. So that I was fine and I could move my body in other ways, in creative ways. And now it's October, and I looked after it really well, and I was fine. But I always knew that I would be okay with doing the rehab and following those kind of rules, or
And so you're able to stay wise in that time? And what I mean by that is because often insecurity makes us stupid.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, so we get to that place where, shit, if I can't exercise, what does that mean? And so then suddenly you might rush your recovery. Like it's that kind of...
Yeah, I definitely didn't rush my recovery.
Yeah, okay.
Because I just put my faith in
So you trusted
the
again, didn't you?
professionals. Yeah,
Yeah.
like my physio and my sports doctor, because they know better. I did do a lot of research for myself as well, but I just followed my physio to a T. Like if you said it, do it 3 times a day, I did it 3 times a day because I was so keen to get back at that same level.
Yeah.
And you were probably
Same.
Yeah, because you want to go back to being able to teach your class at the maximum level.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
My thing was minimize damage so I can get back
Yeah.
as quick as possible. And then
Yeah.
get back as quick as possible was kind of my thinking. What is the struggle for you?
In general?
Yeah, but just, because I think often, I ask this to everyone, but it's that thing of we're very lucky because we get to stand in front of people and support them.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and also if you're on stage, you're a better person. And I don't mean that's true, but we get put on a pedestal.
Yeah, we
You
do.
know what I mean? And we're just people. We're all got our flaws. And I always think it's important that we share, as much as you want to, but, because we can get people just think we're almost like perfect, which is far from true, but...
Struggle. I definitely work too much. I know I said I've got boundaries, but when it comes to like projects that we've got going on, I just want to do them now.
Yep.
Yeah, and finish them now.
Yep.
Like I'll be like at 8 o'clock to Essie, like, what should we do with that? And he's like, not now. I'm like winding down, and I'm like, oh yeah, true, sorry. Tomorrow.
So learning to switch off at times.
Yeah, so I definitely struggle to switch off. So I'm good at setting boundaries in terms of one-on-one time and energy that I give to people, but I do so much work in the background, and I don't really switch off much.
And why?
Just because I really want to succeed. Like I really want it to go well. Whatever the project is, I really want it to do really well. And I think I definitely, because I'm a details person, I think of all the little different details.
So they all need to be crossed off.
Yeah.
So where is your strength, your weakness?
I'd say my weakness, if I was to compare myself to Essie, because obviously we do business together, is that he's a lot better at looking at the big picture.
No. What I mean by that is where's your strength? So one of my greatest strengths is my ability to work hard.
Okay.
So like piano.
Yeah.
Not many people.
Yeah, you play, don't you?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm in a band. Got an album coming out.
Yeah, that's right. You got your band, yeah. Heard about that one.
So my approach to piano, I've worked really hard at piano, but I haven't done the wisest pathway because my strength was almost my weakness because hard work I thought was the key, whereas actually I should have been a much better planner on my strategy. Looking back now, if I went back and started piano now, I would do it completely different to how I've gone about doing it. And so often we go into something with this strength that's made us create a lot of success for us in the past, but actually can create with some weakness or make us not see things that, that you're blinded by your strength.
Yeah, so that's what I mean with like not seeing the bigger picture.
Okay.
Like sometimes, like I will just be so vision focused that I can't really see stuff on the outside, and I'll be working so hard at it, and then I might look back and be like, oh no, that was all for nothing. Like that actually won't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So I need to, so sometimes I find if I've got
So once you see a target, you're going, I'm going to it.
I just go for it, and I think I struggle to step back.
Yeah.
And that's what I've realized, because SC will just be like, what the hell? You've just spent 8 hours on this. And it's going to go nowhere, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but if it did.
Yeah, it would have been boom down.
It would have been amazing, yeah. So I definitely struggle to see the big picture. Sometimes I'm too stuck on the details that might not matter.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
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 And how do you get better at not doing that?
I guess when you're aware of it, you try and remind yourself of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do remind myself of it. And as much as possible, try and think of, is this like, am I wasting my time here? You know? Yeah, and I'm definitely not perfect, because I do when I see, you know, I like lists.
Yep.
I like to make a list, and I like to make a plan.
Yeah, of course.
And then I might just go for it and not really think of the other factors.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes a good team player? Because you're interesting, because at the gym, you're a PT.
Yeah.
Which is kind of your own little world, but then, you know, you're also with a team of PTs. And you and Essie seem to be very good at kind of being a part of a team.
Yeah. Being a good team player is, I think, the ability to adapt and communicate differently to people. I mean, that's more like manager kind of stuff. But, you know, like I find, you know, when you've got different personalities, if you want to work well in a team and with each person, you need to be able to communicate accordingly to each person. Yeah. Yeah, because everyone's so different. Yeah. So if you know someone is particularly emotional and they don't really want to, and I mean, I think I learned this from project management, but you don't really want to hit them with, hey, give me this. You'll be like, hey, how are you going today?
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to your empathy thing.
Empathy, yeah.
So
and I think, because I've got such high empathy, I think I'm good at adapting how I speak to people. Yeah,
so you can understand the needs of the different people and then...
Yeah, try to anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure I read it wrong sometimes.
Well, we all do. You know, communication's a very complicated thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's not exercising and they're trying to get into it?
They're trying to get into it, but they're not exercising. Start really small, kind of like what you said. Yeah, start small, and don't set high expectations, because that's how you're gonna set yourself for failure. Yeah. Because you know, like the F45, not to bag this
we can bag
company, we can bag that. Okay, that's good. You know, they set expectations that you're going to eat a really low amount of calories and exercise a really high amount, and if you don't do those two things together, you're not going to get to your goal. When it's not true, right? That's just the quick game. Yeah. But yeah, just start really, really small and be consistent with that small thing. Like you said, like going for a walk, do that, and again, and then do it again, and then do it again.
Go back to your consistency thing.
Yeah.
What about when someone's thriving? Because another concept I came up in my book is there's kind of 4 types of exercises. There's the non-exerciser. Yeah. The yo-yo, so it comes and goes. Yeah. The habit but no results.
Oh, interesting.
You know, we see it a lot at the gym, don't we? Yeah. You know, and then the thriver. Yeah. And the thriver is someone who's getting all the good stuff from exercise. You know, they're growing, they're developing, they're expanding themselves, they're probably getting results they desire. You know, and so, you know, the journey of my book is trying to get them from at least the nothing to the habit, but ultimately trying to get them to the thriver and thriver for the long term. What do you think creates the thriver?
Probably confidence in themselves. Yeah. Yeah, confidence in themselves, and like what we just said, trust in yourself. Yeah. Yeah, because that's when you truly thrive. Yeah. Yeah, so when like you say, you've got those 4, but when you start, you've got consistency, and then you become more confident. Yeah. And then you are more comfortable in that kind of exercise environment, and then you're more yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
I also think stretching, growing. You know, when you,
Stretching.
well, not flexibility.
Oh, right. Stretch. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, because when you think of any era of your life when you've been thriving, it often comes with a new possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you think of any era, it might have been when you were studying or when you were doing exercise or when, like me with music. You know, like recently I've tried to become a live performer and I was a really incompetent live performer.
Cool.
And yeah, and I'm getting better and I'm getting to that point where I've still got a long way to go, but I now people are commenting on my stage presence
Right.
in a positive way. Whereas if you watch me early on, I was just a dead guy.
So you're doing live performances?
Yeah.
Where do you do that?
Oh, local pubs and stuff. Yeah.
Can I come?
Yeah, well, where the album's coming out. The album's coming out.
The album? Who are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? It's that don't know if the music a new thing. You know, I'll always be the guy who does the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's cool.
you know, like it's like, why not?
Yeah.
You know, someone's got to do it. Why not be me?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm lucky I had that within me. But more importantly, you know, this is being a live musician has been the most challenging thing I've probably done in the last 10 years of my life. And it's not that like I haven't done challenging workouts or challenging.
But you'll have
no,
your
it doesn't.
fitness.
No, it doesn't
Really?
transfer at all.
Because that's a performance.
Yeah, but the difference is I'm not a very great musician.
Okay.
So I'm going into an area where I don't feel very competent with my skills.
True.
So I'm very self-aware.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to being a beginner instructor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you watch me when I first performed, I was literally, my hands are shaking like you wouldn't believe. And
No way.
Oh, you like seriously, head down the whole time. I'm just
I
like
don't
this.
think I've ever seen you
Yeah.
in this state.
But that's what's so good for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and we've probably performed maybe 15, 16 times now. Now I'm dancing, I'm expressing,
Wow.
you know, I'm suddenly, but I've had to challenge myself and I'm videoing, you know, I'm doing all that kind of growth stuff. But then, that moment of, oh man, I'm growing, you know, and that possibility
And that's
comes.
when you're thriving.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I don't know if exercise can give that to me much nowadays. You know,
Well, no, I think you've.
yeah, because
you've
we know
done
it so
all.
well. And it's not that I can't have exercise challenges, but in that way, you know, where you're just shit scared.
No, you've just gone completely different industry and
Yeah,
different
yeah.
everything.
Like I remember
Yeah.
we had a gig a few months. Well, I've talked about this on the show, but we had a gig maybe a couple months ago, and it was the first time we'd done a few open mics. We did a couple featured sets. So you kind of when you do open mics, you can be a featured band, so you get to play for 40 minutes, and that means you're
Yeah.
But then we got the first gig. We were probably playing. I think we even got paid, and we turned up for the sound check, and there was 4 bands, and they were rock stars. And we're doing our sound check. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. And you know when you know like I'm driving to, you know, for the next 4 hours until we played. I'm just shitting myself, like, you know.
Oh, that's when you start instructing.
Oh,
it is.
and as I'm driving to the venue, I'm hoping I have a car crash. You know what I mean? Like it's literally
quite
you
extreme.
want an excuse because you're so afraid of that moment.
Yeah.
But that's when you're alive.
But you want the excuse, but you know in the back of your mind,
Yeah, you gotta work
it's
through
going to
it.
be such amazing growth.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's what it's.
And I don't
going
even.
to be.
I probably wasn't even that great that night. But
Wait, how long ago are we speaking? Like, it's not like when you were.
no, this is like in the last couple of months.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. But to me, those are the moments you're going to win.
Yeah.
Those are the moments you've got to stand up to. Because it's like, if I want to, because my goal was to be in a live performing band with a fan base who loves their music. Well, I'm never going to get there if I can't get on stage.
Yeah.
You know, and so I've got to go through those tough moments. Now, the experience was probably in the last 3 or 4 songs I felt comfortable, but
Yeah.
we played for maybe 50 minutes. So the first 4 or 5, I was a total disaster. But my playing was good enough. It wasn't great. But that's where you thrive, is working through those moments, you know.
Yeah,
And you know,
yeah.
and so when we go back to exercise, it's like, how do we create conditions where people have that more often?
Where they can thrive. Yeah.
And where they do that growth and they do that possibility thing. And
But you would get that a lot with your runners, I'm sure.
oh, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. But then we get the problem where we get and that's why I started doing these goal setting sessions, because we
Yeah.
get the problem of they get to the habit place. So
So how do you push them?
and it's funny because as a business, habit plate's good enough for the business because they're going to
Yeah.
pay to keep coming. But I'm not happy with that as a business owner. Because
And that's
yeah,
what makes you different. Yeah.
yeah, because our experiences, they come in to get up to 5. It's all that. It's all thriving because they're just discovering shit about themselves, you know.
Yeah.
And then we get to run 10Ks and the same thing. And then so pretty much from a 5 right through to the half marathon, they just have this like year and a half of just
That's
growth.
cool.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
thriving. And then I'll come back and do the second half marathon, and then it kind of deflates.
And that's when,
Yeah.
that's when there's not really that thrill
Yeah,
anymore.
and
So-
they've got a good habit, And it's good for our business because they keep turning up.
Yeah.
But I want to keep them in the Thrive place.
So that's when you get them to set new goals.
Well, that's why I've started bringing this goal setting session in.
Right.
Because I want to use each time they come to us as a chance to evolve them into a higher person.
Yeah.
So it might be in the next 2 months, here's where you want to actually develop yourself. And you're going to use running as a caveat for that. But it might even be your nutrition. But you're going to use this running period, and we're going to do some goal setting and some accountability around it. Because, you know, at the gym, we just see so many habit people. They're really good at turning up, but they don't actually create change.
No, but they just do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just do the same. Wow, the amount of members I've seen that just do the same.
And on a big scale thing, it's better than nothing.
Which works. Yeah. Because they,
it's still good for their health.
They're moving their body.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. But I'd be so bored.
Yeah.
You'd be so bored.
Well, that's probably one thing to talk about is you need to invest.
Yeah.
You know, and us fitness professionals talk about that. But,
yeah.
you know, like, if you want to make change, you've got to invest in a good PT, don't you?
Well, not even that. Anything that will make you move or change or set new goals or grow, like you say. Like, there's plenty of fitness apps out there. I do think you'll never be able to change.
What's your thoughts on the apps?
What's that?
What's your thoughts on apps?
Yeah, nothing wrong with them. For a while we thought about putting one together, but there's so many out there. I feel like it's just a market we don't really want to tap into just yet. We might one day, but I mean, you're never going to get. It's just like when people do Les Mills on demand, they do classes at home.
Yeah.
You're never really going to replace that live feeling of coming into the class and getting that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But it's a good substitute if you say don't have the money or the means or the time.
Yeah.
It's similar with PTs versus an app. You've got the app, and PTs are always worried about that taking over our industry
business,
and our career. But really, you're never going to replace that one-on-one.
No.
And there's online training. Like I train some people online, and that works really well too, but not as well as in person. It's never the same.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because an app's a prescription, but exercise is so much more than a prescription. Like an extra workout.
Yeah,
but
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So it's not really prescribed to you.
Yeah. And also a workout's more than just a prescription. It's motivation, it's empathy, it's, challenge.
And you never push yourself as hard on your own.
No, you can't.
You just can't.
And it's funny because I always try, I'm a half-hearted weights trainer. You'll see me occasionally in the weights room.
Yeah, now then.
And the one thing I just can't, and it's just because my timetable is hard, is I can't commit to a training partner. And because when I started in weights, and I always had a training partner, and he was a rock star training partner because we just always had that expectation of we're going to push each other hard.
Cool.
It was never, oh, you can take it easy today. It was always like, I'm going to push you hard because I know you'll do the same for me.
Yeah.
And so we're really good training partners. And I just loved weights in those days, whereas I don't have the love weights now because I just can't push myself.
What happened to that person?
Oh, just life went in different directions. But and that's cool, but like
it is really helpful. That's why I love when people come in with a training buddy.
Yeah.
They train together, and especially girls. Like I train a lot of peers.
Oh, do you?
Together, so many, because they end up, because when it's scary going onto the gym floor, especially the unisex gym floor. So a lot of girls.
Talk about that.
What's that?
Talk about that.
Yeah, a lot of girls will stay in the women's gym for a really long time and never venture out.
Really?
Yeah. So
I do kind of get it, but because it can be pretty gawky.
Yeah, it can. And my mission for a long time has been to really try and bring them to that space, because they deserve just as much to be in that space. And I understand sometimes it's so scary, especially when there's just men everywhere just lifting really big weights, and some of them might be a little bit creepy as well. It's just building confidence to own that space. So when they train together, when two girls are together, I mean, you're always better in a team than on your own, right? So you can stand up for yourself. Not that you're having arguments on the gym floor, but you can like stand proud with someone else rather than be on your own. Yeah. Yeah. So that's been my mission for a long time. And my clients, I always try, and a lot of them had never been on the main gym floor. Yeah. Wow. And it's just kind of bringing them out slowly. And a lot of them, for a while, they will only go on the gym floor with me, and then after a while they'll just go on their own slowly, because they know how to use the machines, they know where everything is. Because I think the scary thing for people is going onto the gym floor and looking like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like, oh God, I don't know where this Smith machine is. Oh God, I'll just leave.
Yeah,
Screw it, I'll just go.
Panic. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they'll just revert to the cardio machines. That's a
Yeah.
very much, I know that's stereotyping, but females are more likely to feel comfortable on the treadmill than with dumbbells.
Yeah, which I kind of get.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, just lastly, what would you like people to say about you as a personal trainer?
Oh, why would I like people to say about me? Well, what you said, what those girls said before CX is quite nice. Oh, she's cool. I want to do her class. I think I want people to say that I'm approachable.
Yeah.
And that, like you say, like, oh, she's cool or she's nice. Yeah, that really, I think that's really cool. Because that's my mission, to be approachable and to make this exercise thing as normal as possible. Because I'm no athlete. Like, I'm not Iron Man athlete, I don't do anything really, really crazy out of the norm. So I just want to make this very normalized. And
so making it acceptable or accessible for more people.
Accessible, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. How do you say your last name again?
Sanguinetti.
Sanguinetti, is it?
Yeah.
Sanguinetti.
Italian.
Sanguinetti. There you go, from France.
From France, that's right.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show. Bloody awesome.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that interview. I really enjoyed sitting down talking with Nat, and just, as you can see, there's just some good insight and some really important topics in there, and it was I really enjoyed it, so hopefully you got a lot from it. If you want to follow Nat, I'll put it in the show notes for this episode on bevanjameseyles.com, where you can follow her. She's pretty big on Instagram. She kind of does most of her work on Instagram. She's on Facebook as well. I don't think maybe she has a group on Facebook, but if you go to Instagram, it's probably a good place to start. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes for today's show at bevanjameseyles.com. That's pretty much today's show done and dusted. Again, if you want to become a patron of the show, just go to bevanjameseyles.com, click on podcast, click on support me, and then go through that process. If you want to get my little videos that I send out each week, keep active with bevan.co.nz, and I just put your information in. Every Sunday night I send out a video. You can just watch that. It's kind of like a 5 to 7 minute video, which is just kind of education. And then other than that, if you want to support the show, you can also tell your friends and family, do a review on some podcatcher, and I'll be back next week in a couple of weeks with another Bevan episode of the Bevan James Eyles Show. Have a wonderful couple of weeks, and as always, keep being you.